myself, I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and faith. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my name. But what puzzling you is the nature of my game. Welcome to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Jason Schwartz. Today is June 25th, the Monday, and I have a great guest here that you're going to have an opportunity to meet here in a minute. The Neutral Zone was created so we could talk about all kinds of things, and neutral doesn't mean that we don't have ideas and feelings behind things. It means we're going to put in the clutch, and we're going to talk without running each other over and without slashing each other like on Facebook and other social media. And we're going to talk about all kinds of things, and today we have a terrific guest. We are very happy to have a couple of sponsors already in our early life. We have Cash for Gold, Come On Alone, and we have the MauiMiracle.org, and we have hstanleyjudd.com. We're in a new age here, and websites come up and all kinds of stuff. And we have people that care about our community and want to give a place for open voice and talking without judgment. My guest today is Jeff Murray. Now, how many out there, we're on Facebook Live, by the way, how many of you guys know who Jeff Murray is? Not Bill Murray, although he's very funny. Jeff Murray is our fire chief. Jeff, welcome to our show.
Hello, Jason. Good morning.
Okay, I think we're good on volume. When we walked in, I thought we had a celebrity because the whole place erupted in song. Yeah. Jeff, how long have you been in the fire department here in Maui?
Well, I've been Maui Fire Department over 29 years.
29 years. Yeah. And you've been the chief for?
A little over 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when I think of fire department, happily, I would say, I don't see a lot of fires, and that might be because you guys know and do your thing really efficiently. Are there a lot of fires in Maui County?
Yes, there is, and it's dependent. We got home fires once a month or so, and then we also have vegetation or brush fires that people know are wildland fires. We have a lot of those throughout the year, and it's usually seasonal for that as a whole. So
okay.
Yeah, we're pretty busy.
Well, what does a home fire mean? That means someone did something in the house or a house did something to itself?
Sometimes a little of both. It's a residential fire, so we'll consider a home fire like a residential fire as opposed to a commercial fire, which would be a business or something like that, or a vehicle fire. And there's all kinds of categories. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember the year. Maybe you will. I was living in Maui Meadows with my lady friend Ariel, and suddenly I heard a scream from her. And right down below is our friend Lily and Eros and Alex, and suddenly fire happened in Maui Meadows. And you guys responded quickly, and I also found that it seemed like there were an army of people that I've never, ever seen anywhere. We all stay in our little boxes by ourselves a lot. They came from everywhere.
Well, once we're summoned, we respond appropriately, based on the needs, what the call comes in, and what our first commanders see on scene, and what resources they'll need. So very important to have us around and nearby.
Well, when I saw that happen, I thought a few things. I later understood it was an electrical fire, which means, what, a wire in the house?
It could be a wire, or it's normally not the wiring of a home, normally. It's usually a device that's plugged into the wall that may have inadvertently done something that it shouldn't have, or you have a kinked extension cord, things like that start fires because it gets heated up by the electricity.
Is that something that people need to be conscious of?
Absolutely. Keeping your house tidy and making sure you don't overload your electrical boxes or your outlets or anything, or even the devices. Move it to another area if need be, because everything has a limit, and once it heats up, anything can fail. So
I see. Well, how did you get into this fire business?
Well, it was a dream of mine as a young child to become a firefighter and serve our community.
Did you have heroes here on Maui in that department?
Absolutely. A lot of people I grew up around that were firefighters, and they were always there when things wasn't as good as it should be, and I admired that. And what I did when I was 17, I enlisted in the United States Air Force, and I became a fireman, a firefighter within the United States Air Force, and learned a ton. And all I wanted to do was bring that information back home and share that with our people and our department. So I was able to do that.
What do you do as fire chief?
Well, as a chief...
Is that different than a captain, right? That's a different...
Yes.
Captains are at each station?
Yes, and they run each crew. So captains, we have operations captains, we have administrative captains. So each captain has their role and duties and responsibilities. And we have a set of chiefs as well. But the fire chief specifically oversees the whole department. So, we run our fire department as well as ocean safety. So we got just under 390 employees. So, and that encompasses the 3 islands, right? Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. And we also do response to Kaho'olawe if need be. So there's a lot of resources and logistics that have to get done. And then there's also a lot of planning, right? So a lot of planning goes into foreseeing what our needs are for our department so that we can serve the community appropriately.
Well, I always think that if there's one thing that if I were in government that I would be sure to always fund, it would be fire, where property is so significant. Have you, over the years, I don't know how long you've been doing this budgeting process, but when I think of budget, I would think that you would be a rock solid, we're always going to fund. Do you have a lot of needs that keep increasing? Are there things changing in the firefighting industry?
We always have needs. One of the things that we try to do throughout my tenure is to anticipate the needs and get it ahead of time so you're not playing catch up, right? So one of the things that we feel in government, in the state of Hawaii as a whole, is that we're playing catch up all the time. Look at the rail. That's an issue that could have been dealt with 45 years ago. But we're here at this juncture now, and everybody has an opinion. But our thought process is always looking at how do we provide the service needed with the appropriate equipment. And along with all of those things, which people don't really think about, is the training that goes with that. So our department members have to train constantly because our world is changing. The homes of 1972 are completely different than the homes of 2018. The items that are in there burn a lot hotter and quicker. The homes are built slightly different. They're a little bit more enclosed than they used to be. A lot of air conditioning, keeping out the dust and what have you. Those things are impacts on how we are able to save people, or at least save your property. So those things are scientific, right? So over time, we look at the trends and see how things are going, and we plan accordingly. And that goes for every aspect of our department.
Wow. Well, when I think of firefighting, maybe I'm watching too many comic books, but you guys have a very dangerous job.
At times, yes.
And, we're very fortunate to have people that put their life on the line. Police do it every day.
Yeah, police do it every day.
Every day.
Yeah, let's not forget about them because they are unbelievable.
But I imagine that you're a very important part. When you go for out to a fire, Are there any procedures? I'm always wondering how the public can interact with people like you, and where can they help make it easier for you, like at a scene of a fire or things like that?
At a scene of a fire, one of the main things is if they know that a life may be in danger, that having appropriate information is very helpful. Maybe from a neighbor or someone who just saw somebody drive home and now something happened. That kind of information is really, really important immediately. And also to kind of just stay slightly out of the way so that, our equipment is a lot larger than most other equipment. So we need that space also, like everything we take off of the truck that is prepared to deal with a home fire or a commercial fire. They need room to work with that. So, and just, kind of staying out of the way and guiding us to certain things. And if they know of certain hazards, to let us know, like, hey, my neighbor has a large propane tank, or, of things of that sort. It's extremely helpful to us.
Have you had that kind of thing happen live, exploding propane tanks?
We've had that, yes.
Wow. Goodness. Yeah. So, I'm all over the map here. I keep thinking, and I hear in the news, Big Island has a problem with a volcano. Is that a kind of a thing the fire department there would handle?
Absolutely. They handle a lot of the operations. Of course, they have coordinated efforts with a lot of different departments and a lot of jurisdictions from outside of the Big Island.
Sure.
We helped on 3 major occasions since May 4th in sending people over to help with the incident management of that specific eruption, and just to give their people some rest. So we have a trained team. It's called an All Hazards Incident Management Team, and we're a level 3, so we're able to go in and help out other departments within Hawaii or on the mainland or what have you. And that's how we worked on getting all of our certifications to work within that process, and that's a federal process. So we're up to par with that.
So when I see DMAT at the airport, people taking care of emergencies, are you part of that? Are you part of anything going on with fire?
Yes, a lot of times those situations, they'll summons us as well, and that team could also help on the management side and also our personnel to respond to what the needs are. Because anytime another entity comes in, whether it's a state entity or a federal entity like FEMA, for example, there's always local emergency responders that they're working with. So it'll be either emergency management, police department, fire department. All of those different things will work in unison together and take their assistance. Yes.
I see. Anything as you've been in the department that you think could be improved, but you're not able to get resources? Do you ever run into that?
Oh, absolutely. We run into that every year.
You do?
Yes, we do. So, the annual budgets that the mayor puts together,
sure.
It has to be done by the department first. And then it goes through that process with the mayor. And then there'll be discussion about the needs. And then it also moves to the council, which is the last section of that. And a lot of times, a lot of our needs are scrapped during that process.
I'm hard to believe here. Your needs, I imagine they're either equipment or personnel, right?
Yes.
What do they decide at council level, that we don't need another fire hose or another truck or more people? Is that the kind of decisions they're making?
Well, that's some of them, yeah, absolutely.
How can they feel more knowledgeable than you, who's, by example, who's spent years, you're not doing it out of the, for any kind of self thing. This is for our community. I can't imagine that. That happens, huh?
It happens quite a bit. And I think it's just the timeliness of the process. It takes a while. And a lot of our things, even if it's pay, it's costly. So people look at that and say, hey, I don't see the worth of it. But the worth of that is having a trained, certified firefighter coming to your rescue, per se,
yes.
Is extremely important, because it's it's our department moving in the direction of what is the national best practice. And how that happens is through death. So firefighters die doing their job, and then they do an investigation. They go through all of these processes, and then they find out what is good and what is bad and how you should operate. And that's what we look at. It's called the National Fire Protection Association. It's a code that is set forth to everybody in the United States, and it's up to for you to use.
Right.
And we try to go by all of the best practices because we don't want that happening here. If you want something very expensive that you get no gain out of, try to lose a life in doing their job. And what we're trying to do is avoid all of that, right? So the emphasis in the last 10 years has been about training and our certification and our ability to be confident and in doing our job, which is super important because we're related to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it's not just we show up in a nice, pretty truck that kind of does this. That truck has been maintained. It's been taken care of. It's been practiced on. It's a piece of equipment that needs to get to you when it needs to get to you. So it's extremely important that all of that stays in place.
I think of it like insurance.
Absolutely. I've also used that analogy quite a few times that didn't go over very well, but I've tried to keep it simple.
I mean, do you have to present to the council?
Yes.
You're part of the, you do.
Yes, I do.
And again, if you're on council, I hope you're listening. And if you're not on council, I hope you're listening. What kind of questions do they ask of you that could somehow change them from saying yes?
Well, they want to know if certain things are a compliance issue. You know, like say our turnout gear. Several years back, we had a lengthy discussion about our turnout gear and why does it have a shelf life. Because when it's put together by a manufacturer, they can only guarantee so much that it can go through.
I see.
And it's important to keep our firefighters, safe within that equipment, and that it's usable and it fits the criteria moving forward, right? So if they enter a building, they know with themselves that it's safe. Right. So that's an example of, and everything we do is either personnel or equipment. There's really nothing else, you know.
Right.
So
anyway, I hope that if you're on council and your house, God forbid, goes up in flames somehow, that you've made sure you've had the right equipment there to help you. And I think that I'm amazed when I hear stuff like that. So
one of the things too is, you know, people don't understand that our trucks, they do get old.
Yeah.
You know, wear and tear ends up being extremely costly. And then when you have downtime, that works against you. So if the truck's sitting, being repaired, or waiting for parts to be repaired, that vehicle is not ready for your need. Right. Which, you know, people don't understand too is they see it's very nice because we take care of it. Yeah. That's one of the things, you know, that fire departments do across the nation is, you know, very much here too, is that we take pride in our equipment because it needs to be ready every second of the day. And that's the reason why it looks the way it does.
And we hope we never see you leave the fire station, personally.
Right.
I mean, that's why I call it insurance. I don't particularly, when you're showing up, there is something wrong.
Definitely.
And you're there, and I need our champions to have a weapon. You know, it's like, you remember The Godfather when Sonny he says, when my brother goes into the bathroom to get a gun, I want him to have a gun when he comes out. Same here. I want you to have the equipment you need. I hope that the public will rally behind our fire department.
Well, I think the public does, you know, but they only hear it when a need goes on, but we need it all the time. And one of the things is to provide a replacement schedule that you know about in advance.
Right.
That's going to happen all the time, and just earmark that funding for that. And things change, and people also need to know that each piece of equipment goes through a code review. So when vehicles change items, we have to upgrade those things. It's not like we want to do it, but we have to do it, and we should do it because it's necessary moving forward, right?
So you've been doing this a long time. When you don't have a fire going on, I'm sure you maintain programs like you talked about the brush. And I mean, I always see like along electric lines, you see trees around them. And I'm thinking, God, this is like a zone. Is that something for the electric company to do, or you guys
it's
do?
the responsibility of the electric company as well as the landowner. So they'll work probably in unison most of the time to get those things taken care of, especially prior to dry season, because it does make a difference. And it also helps us protect that, because if we lose a telephone pole, it might not mean anything to you, but it costs the utility company a lot of money.
Right.
And labor to get that back up and running. Plus, you have a possibility of losing your service. All of those things are an integral part of making it happen. Yeah.
Well, I remember growing up and thinking that the fire guys had a real good deal. They work. You have 24-hour shifts or 48.
We have 24-hour shifts here.
Right.
Right. So, for example, if a person had a shift work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then that would take care of their week, and then they would have to go and they would switch. So during that week, they'd have the Tuesday and Thursday off, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and come back on Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
I see. So they're usually getting a day off between.
Yes, they do.
Wow. And do you have programs in the schools? Do you go out and educate people about different things to prevent fire?
Yes, we do. We have a public education program within our Fire Prevention Bureau that they go out and meet. We do a pamphlet, a booklet that goes out to all K to 5 in all of our schools. So that's like 13,500 of those go out annually. And then we also do specific types of training, whether it be fire extinguisher training or what have you. That's a huge part of us getting into the community and making a difference for that one person, hopefully,
Well, when I think of, I can't see. Aha! We still got a couple of minutes till our break. Do you have, someone told me a joke yesterday. I don't know if you guys listen. Maybe you know the answer. What's Smokey the Bear's middle name?
Bear?
See? The. Someone said that now he's Smokey Bear. They took away the.
Yeah, I think in the 50s, that was something that, somehow resonated through the kids because it made sense. But years ago, they stopped calling him the Bear. He's Smokey Bear. Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
You mean that shows I'm older because I remember the.
For me, it was always the. Yeah.
So how do kids respond to this stuff about firefighter? Do you find there are others like you that want to come and walk in your shoes when they get older?
Absolutely. Annually we test anywhere from every 2 years we test about 15 to 2,000 people, and who want to have this job.
15 to 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and on other islands it's even more. So it's a sought after job, but it's not for everybody. It's you got to be willing to give more than what you get. It's just one of those things. And if you come in with that mindset, you'll do very well.
Well, it's an interesting perception as public. We really don't get behind. Are you guys sort of like, I want to say the SEALs, the Navy SEALs? You guys are set for any kind of situation. You can jump into a house and you need to go, and you thought you were walking up those stairs, but there are no stairs. Yeah. And so you have all kinds of very rigorous training, I imagine.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Yes, we do.
So how does someone go about becoming a candidate? I know they can just apply, but there are things that you guys want of your candidates?
Well, we want people that know how to work. Right, because you don't come into the department and move straight to fire chief on your second day, right? Everybody has to work to attain certain positions, and you also have to have some education, or have the ability to retain information, because we have a lot of information. We do over 22 disciplines within our department that we train on annually. it's ever changing, so you have to constantly read what's happening today and see what other people are up against and see if that same threat is here in your community. You know.
Well, we're going to take a break here in a few seconds to let the station, KAKU, let people know who sponsors are for the air and everything. And then we're going to come back. Thank you for all being with us. We're here with Jeff Murray, who is the fire chief here in Maui County, retiring at the end of the month. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to let KAKU Radio take over right now.
I'm David Packman, host of The David Packman Show, heard Monday through Friday on KAKU 88.5 FM at our new time, 4 o'clock. Analysis, commentary, interviews, and more from a perspective not offered on corporate media. Not only news from the front lines of progressive issues, but facts that are factual and information that is actually informing. The David Packman Show, heard now at 4 p.m. on KAKU, the voice of Maui.
Funding for KAKU, the voice of Maui, is provided in part by
having the guts to go in and just say, I go through and I don't care what happens. You know, it aches, and if I fall down, I have no fear of fainting.
Fit or Fatality Gym, personal training and pro-level supplement center, located at 982 Lower Main Street, Wailuku. For more information, call 808-895-2567.
KAKU-FM 88.5.
Kokoa for Big Island. KAKU 88.5 FM and Akaku Maui Community Media, in cooperation with the Latino Connection, are holding a fundraiser at Heritage Hall on Baldwin Avenue Sunday, July 1st to help our Big Island neighbors. Enjoy great food, music, games, and a trampoline for the keiki from 3 to 10 p.m. at Heritage Hall, 401 Baldwin Avenue in Paia. It's Kokua for Big Island, Sunday, July 1st at Heritage Hall in Paia. Please, Kokua.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Neutral Zone is brought to you by our kind donor, Cash for Gold, Kama'aina Loan, at 52 and 98 North Market Street in Wailuku, Maui, 242-5555. Well, I'm happy to be back here with Jeff Murray, our fire chief here in Maui County. Jeff, you know, I met you in a way that I was serving as an usher at a Hawaiian hula group up country. Is that something that you do?
Well, yeah, my daughter is a dancer for that halal, and it was one of those ahuiki, so it was really good. Nice weekend.
We had a very nice time, and I had the good fortune to be at the stage door, and I was stationed there with this guy. For a second, I said, this is a nice guy. Who is this guy? And then someone came and saluted you, and I thought, am I missing something? But you're the fire chief.
Yeah.
When you go through, is there, were you trying to, or we were trying to, is it something that you strived for? Were there any roles that you, through the years, that you especially liked in this department? Were there any things that...
Oh, I loved every role that I had. You know, I've served in many positions within the department as a firefighter, a rescue man, and driver operator. You know, I drove the ladder, the rescue truck, fire engines. I was a captain. I was an administrative captain. I was a line captain, so operations captain at Paia, and then a rescue captain before this gig as a fire chief. And I love them all. I would have to say my favorite was rescue, only because that we had a little more equipment than the rest of the the department has that we're responsible for, like boats, jet skis, and helicopter. So it's pretty exciting.
So rescue means just that. It means go out and someone's stuck in the middle of nowhere. How does that come to you guys?
Well, by charter, the Maui Fire Department is mountain to ocean, and a few miles out to the ocean is our jurisdiction.
I see.
So that's how we do it in island jurisdictions, and we're fortunate enough to have that responsibility.
I'm going to stay, I think, politically correct, although there are women in your department as well as
yes.
men, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And I imagine they have to be able to do everything as well as a man.
As they do, yes.
As they do.
Yeah, they earn their way, let me tell you.
And you have a pretty integrated department in all kinds of ways. Race, you don't have any kind of issues going on.
No, we don't. We all get along. I mean, we live with each other for 24 hours, and our lives depend on each other. So, that's what I'm talking about. When you want to get into a business like this, you got to give more than you take.
Yeah. Well, how long have you been? I think sometimes when you're talking about Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kohalave, when I think of Molokai, I think here you are in Kaunakakai. I imagine do you have other remote stations?
Yes, we do. We actually have 3 there. We have 2 fully manned stations, one in Kaunakakai and one in Ho'olehua. And then we have a half-manned station in Puko'o, out on the east end.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
So, water. When I think of fire department, I often think of water.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have different water supply than we use for, say, residential and commercial use?
It's all dependent. Majority of the time, we're using the same water. And then if we're in certain areas, they might have private systems. We're also utilizing private systems. For instance, like HCNS, when they were pretty active, we utilized a lot of their resources. So that's a good example of how that works, community driven for sure. Yeah.
Does it ever get to be an issue where you're depleting water supply needed for residential use? Does that ever come up?
Not very often. Years back we had the Kahului Shopping Center fire,
yes,
where all folks got on fire.
Mm-hmm.
We utilized a lot of water during that time because we had multiple fire trucks that were at that scene trying to hold it together because we had high winds. And we had to summons the water department to do some shutting off so that we could get what we needed. Those things happen, and there's plans in place in case they do. So we're always working together with other departments.
Well, it's good to hear. I always wondered, because of the tremendous demand about water and the sensitivity about enough water, when development is happening, are you guys involved in that process?
Yes, we are. Our Fire Prevention Bureau, we have inspectors, we have plans reviewers that look over their whole development. We're in pretty early during the permitting process and sometimes before that, so that we can help make adjustments ahead of time so it's not costly for the developer. And it's also ahead of, all the safety mechanisms are in place before the development happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about all the people that are, here's my brain here going. There are a lot of people that, would like to know about developments before they have permits. They'd like to know, the county, for example, has a county community plan. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't always mean that the development is going to be as per the plan. Somehow people step over those lines, and then it's late hour, it seems, or after someone has spent millions upon millions of dollars, suddenly the public is waking up to, oh yeah, we don't want that development there. And yet they've spent countless dollars in the development process already. How do you know when a development is happening?
Well, they usually reach out to us to let us know. And they want to get as much information as possible.
Developers themselves.
Do, yes.
Oh, I see.
And then if they don't reach out to us, the people in the building department catch on to something and say, hey, Chief, I think you guys should be aware of what's happening.
Oh, okay.
And then, we'll talk story. And as far as how the community sees it, it's not always all the meetings that you need. It's, I think more advertisements about certain things, keeping the people in the loop is always a great idea.
You're right.
It's better to bring them in early than bring them in late. It's just unfair.
I agree.
So
I agree. I mean, that's probably the greatest thing that I hope to see in whatever regimes are running this joint. Transparency.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I can see in you, that's who and what you are. You seem to be very open and upfront about everything. Any things that you're not talking about that you can, now you only have a few weeks left, so if you want to.
Well,
you seem like that you would get along with everybody. I can't imagine anyone having any issues. Any things that you'd like to be a little better somehow, or that you'd like to see structured somehow differently?
I would like to see a lot more time and input with our legislators listening to what we're about. Not just at budget season, but really reach out or open the doors to us. Majority of them will meet with us any given time. There has been a few people that don't want to meet with us for whatever reason. But I think it's extremely important for everybody to have that opportunity to express what the needs are. And because the bottom line, the decisions that are made, final decisions, are for the people. It's not for me. Our ability to do our job is everything. It's going to make or break our success every single time. So the better we are at doing our job, and the tools that we have to do our job will always prevail in those situations. Because, you talked about water. 10 years ago, sometimes when we fought residential fires, we used tons and tons or gallons and gallons of water to put it out, because our ability to understand the process and actually know how to fight that fire exceptionally well was not done. But we're able to do that now. And see, so that's the investment that people don't see in the training of that. So our ability, not only with the tools that we have, but the ability for us to actually do it and know that we can do it. So training and doing it is extremely important, because the only other time you'll have that opportunity is when it's real. And that's not the time to figure it out. So we've come a long way, and our department is poised to serve these people very well. One of the things that I really would like to see the department move along with is accreditation, because that starts to look at the national standards on how we operate. And just to have some support moving in that direction, because that was something that we tried to do in the last 10 years, but didn't have all the support. And I think they need to have an open mind to that, because it's about you having a voice, any person having a voice on how the process is done, and what do we respond to, and what do we want to put our money in. And it also helps you plan for the stations that you need down the line, because now you have all the data and statistics that you need to put it in the right place based on the hours of the day. So I want people to embrace that, because if you go to college, you want to go to an accredited college, and you want your doctor to have gone to an accredited college.
Yeah.
I mean, why not us? We're an integral part of this community. Our police department proudly is accredited, and it helps us stay on track. That's the whole deal.
Yeah. Well, I really like your passion. I can tell you like what you do, and you like the people you work with, and you carry that attitude into everything. Is there anything that the public can do to be able to help support you? Or is it just expressing it here is enough? Can people say to their representatives, hey, next time something's going on with fire department, I'd like you to make sure you do that. That's important to us.
That would be really, really lovely if the people, and most people, and I want to say a high majority of people really support what's going on. Very few feel different or indifferent. But they're not at all the meetings that take up time during the day when everybody's working. and they're not able to see all of those different things, whether it's on this station or another station. But they need to trust that we're doing what is right by them, which is our kuleana. That's what we're raised doing here. And for me, and I know a lot of people in our department take it the same way. This is the real deal. Our police department does the same thing, and they need to understand that we're there for them, and that we're striving to do as best as we can. And just that type of support would be really great and very appreciated.
Well, I think that's one of the good reasons we had you on here. I wanted to share what you're doing and who you are and what you're doing with the public, because we all need support in whatever we're doing.
Absolutely. We're one big team.
So, are you going to be dancing hula? Are you going to be joining the troupe, or you're not sure yet?
Not at this time, but if time in a few years shows that I'll be dancing hula, then that'll be it.
Did you grow up with hula?
Yes, I did. My family, they're into music and hula, and mostly family stuff.
Yeah.
Very talented people. And it's a way of preserving our culture. It's a way of sharing what we are, what makes us different, right? It's our aloha spirit, which is huge. There's no real one-word explanation for that. And that's what makes it beautiful, right? So, and that's what we try to share too as the fire department.
Well, you guys have a really positive presence in our community. I want to say, again, it's my perception, different than we see the police portrayed in the media. They're usually more gentle with the fire department, it seems.
Yeah, people are really, really nice to us. They have open hearts, and I think a lot of it is perception. The police department does an outstanding job for our community. Mm-hmm. And without them, we would have just complete chaos. And people need to understand that they do a lot for this community, and they just need to have that respect. I think that's all that's needed. We look at what's going on all over the United States with some disrespect to law enforcement, and I think that's the wrong. These people give up their lives every day.
I'm sure they are.
And they try to keep law and order in our community. If there's nothing going on, then so be it. That's great. But there's, things are changing in this time, and there's always something happening, and people are trying to hurt others or steal from others. Those things are not okay.
They're not okay.
They're not okay. And so that's why we work really well with our brothers and sister in blue, and we do a lot of community service together. It's a way that our departments show the people that we're just as much like them, and we're real people, and that we love our community like anybody else, and we're here for you. That's what it is.
When I think about police and fire together, I'm thinking, you ever get investigations into purposely set arson?
Absolutely. We're all over that. We work in unison together with our investigators as well as the police. There are times that we hand it off to a higher entity, whether it be the DEA or FBI and what have you. We have a small community, so we try to keep it as solid as possible. And when we have those situations, we really go after those.
But they do come up on occasion.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I always wonder about, some of that stuff, because, when we're safe, there's a reason we're safe, because they didn't make all these television shows and movies and not have it really get down to here where we are.
Right. Thank
goodness.
It's
happening here.
Yeah.
I'm jumping all over the map. I hope you're okay with
Not
me.
a problem.
Lanai, because it's, quote, mostly owned by one guy, do they have huge input into your plan, or is Lanai?
Well, that's a workable plan right now, and we have close relationships with that company, Lanai Pulama Lanai.
Yeah,
they're great partners. Right now, the county has a lot of responsibility, as well as the state, and that's something that we normally do that anyway. And until that situation changes, we'll have to adapt to that. But right now, there's about a little over 3,000 residents that we take care of, whether they're part of the company or not. We take care of everybody.
Yeah.
visitors, doesn't matter. That's our job. We do it.
If they're on fire, you stop it.
Absolutely. if anything's going on, we're there, you know.
Is everything fire related? I mean,
No.
lifeguards and things like that, or rescue when you're saying rescue?
We do a lot of medical response as well. So it's little over 50% of our response, right? So if someone has a broken leg and our EMS unit is out, we're there. Or if they need help carrying them, we come, we do all of those things. So every bit of the pie, as far as emergency response, we're part of.
Like I've seen at senior centers, the police come and a fire truck.
Yeah.
What's
so
that?
normally we'll do all the assessments for the medics,
I
because
see.
that's a state responsibility. So the ambulance service is contracted from the state to deal with transport. That's the only thing we don't do.
I see.
Transport, yeah.
So is there a way, or does it make sense to integrate some of these things, or not? I'm always wondering, why are they bringing a fire truck, and can't one call for the other, or they have
it's dependent on the issue. Police show up if there's anything that could be going into the criminal realm, and they help control the scene, right? Because sometimes these scenes get emotional.
Yeah.
So they take care of a lot of stuff, as well as the investigation that goes down with whether it be an accident or what have you.
So you might come to a situation and they release you. of
Yes.
sorts.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Right. Or they'll come to a situation and they'll release themselves because we got it, and it's not something that they have to report on.
I
so it's a great team that we got out there for our community. It's working well.
It's nice to really, maybe this is routine to everybody, but I think it's important for us to realize that the police and the fire people are really working well together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're being as efficient as you can, because I hear a lot of that. I hear a lot of the people talking about waste. Mostly it's in the area of the police are everywhere, but fire trucks at these senior centers, I'm always wondering how you even get around the corner. Maybe you have small vehicles.
Well, we utilize that as well, but all of our codes allow for our trucks to enter pretty much anywhere. So
Right.
it's that's all pre-planned. It's all part of our code and everything that we do moving forward. Yeah.
Do you guys all have Dalmatians?
No, we don't.
Don't. I grew up and I happened to have we had two Dalmatians when I grew up. And how did that ever happen? You guys have mascots and things like that going on?
Well, we have one here now, and it's the state dog, Pokey. It used to be King Kalakawa's dog. And so we gave up Sparky. So that was a national thing. And so we retired out Sparky, and now we have our own dog. Yeah. But we don't have them at the stations. We have a hard enough time feeding ourselves. No, just joking. They're great cooks.
Well, I know we still have some time. I would like to give you some time, for sure. We can do it at the end as well. But I know that you've been working a long time, and you probably would like a chance to share with our public and people your feelings. May I turn it to you?
Absolutely, Jason. Thank you very much for that opportunity. It's an honor for all of us to serve our public, the public and the community that we live in. And, I want to take this opportunity to not only thank all of our department members, whether they're uniform or support staff. Thank you so much for all of your support in my administration and doing the right things for our community, because there's a lot of times people are not looking at what the great things that go on within our department that we just set forth for our people, because that's the right thing to do. So I want to thank all of them. First off, I want to thank my family for their support and being behind me all my whole career. It makes a big difference knowing that you're loved and you're supported at home to help you do what you do. And I want to thank all the families, because every single one of our members within our department has a big role. They do their job. They make my job easy. I ask them to do something. They get up and they do it. And they do it with pride and professionalism. And, I think the people know that, but they need to hear it. and I appreciate everything that they've done. And I also really want to thank our community for their support, and trusting in us with their loved ones, with their homes, with their property, and feeling confident that they can call 911 and that we'll show up and we'll do the right things, and do it professionally, and do it with compassion, and do it with aloha. It's just been a huge honor to serve this community for so long. And, it's a bittersweet end for me, a career that has extended over 34 and a half years. I was a military firefighter, and I learned a lot. And it's been something that I knew I could do, health, and God willing that I could get this far. And I just really, really appreciate this whole process and the support moving forward. And I'm so honored and very lucky to be here and lucky to serve. And I'm going to miss serving our people. I literally love doing this, whether I was working or not. I always wanted to help people. And I think, people need to look at our department and our people, and they all want to do that too. And that's what makes it awesome to work with them, because everybody has that same mentality and feeling within their hearts for our community. And they risk it all every day. So I love all of you. Thank you for that, Jason.
You're welcome. I think I'm going to give us a few minutes of music. What do you think of that? And then we'll come back and wrap it up. And we're going to also include a Smart Minute. Welcome to the Neutral Zone Smart Minute. Did you know that power bills have increased? In a study of 10,000 homes, 80% of the households saw their rates go up after smart meters were installed. So many customers saw their bills skyrocket with smart meters that they filed class action lawsuits in two of the biggest states, Texas and California. Smart meter mesh networks consume significant amounts of electricity as part of their normal operation. Reports from around the world in every region of the U.S. of smart meters causing fires. I can go on. The FBI warns that smart meters hacking may cost $400 million a year. Here's our friend from Molokai, Lono, doing a song that we remember years ago from David Gates.
If a picture paints 1,000 words, then why can't I paint you? The words will never show the you I've come to know. Launch 1,000 ships, then where am I to go? There's no one here but you. You're all that's left me too. And when my for life keeps running dry, you'll come and pour yourself on me. If a man could be two places at one time, I'd be beside you all the way. If the world should stop I'd spend the end with you. And when the world was through, then one by one, the stars would all...
That's from Lono's new album, Old Style. He's got a bunch of them. Well, thank you, Jeff Murray, our fire chief, for being here with us today.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Well, here at the Neutral Zone, we're going to sign off. We hope to see you next week. And remember, you're wonderful. Aloha.
Aloha.